should be live.
Yeah, it says connect. 20 seconds in, it's still connected.
Beautiful.
All right, Shalom.
Shalom.
We are the Hebrew Israelites. We come out week in and week out to prophesy the downfall of America, which is Babylon the Great according to the scriptures, as well as Sodom, Gomorrah, Egypt, Nineveh. All right, and to also preach to you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, to tell you that you're the Israelites according to the Bible, and to repent for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. All right, we want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory
to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Ukakudash.
and double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Grace and peace to you elect around the four winds, believing and pushing this truth in all sincerity. May the blessing of election be upon your houses. All right, and through the Spirit, man, we're here another week. All right, to prophesy the downfall of America. All right, and to also preach to you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, to tell you, all right, that the day of the Lord is at hand. All right, to repent. All right, turn back from your wicked ways, man, and repent, because the day of the Lord is going to be a day of darkness and not light. All right, the Lord is coming with great judgment, calamities, destruction, death. All right, and if you're not repenting in that time, you will be swept up in that destruction. You know, but let's get Romans 13, start at verse 11. Bible to shot. All right, because it's high time to awake out of sleep, man. All right, our salvation is nearer than when we believe. All right, and we see that through the prophecies that's been popping off around the four corners of the globe, man. All right, these prophecies have been screaming at this point. And if you don't know that by now, that means you're not paying attention. You're not measuring the times diligently, like the scriptures tell us to do. All right, you got it.
Romans chapter 13, verse 11. And that knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep. For now is our salvation nearer than when we believe.
Right, now is not the time to be sleeping and slumbering, all right, concerning the prophecies that's playing out on the planet Earth. All right, now is not the time to be sleeping and slumbering concerning who you are and who your power is and what he requires of you. All right, now is the time to wake up. All right, contrary to what's going on in the world, this is the true woke culture. All right, woke culture in the world is a bunch of garbage and folly. All right, they ain't woke to who they truly are, and they ain't woke to who the Heavenly Father is and what his will is. All right, this is the true woke culture. All right, knowing who you are according to the scriptures, knowing what part you play in prophecy, knowing who your power is, the name of your power, and what he requires of you. That's true wokeness, man. All right, I hate to use that word too, but that's true wokeness, man. And now is a high time to awake out of sleep, because our salvation is nearer than when we believe. You know, you got it.
It's 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 4. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief.
Right, and the Lord has made us privy to the light. All right, he's restored that light unto us, and we've been illuminated once again, like it says in Baruch, the 4th chapter. All right, we've been illuminated by this word. All right, and by this word being resonated and imparted within us, all right, we've been lightened. We're not of those darkness. We're not of those who are in the dark, man. We can see clearly now in the valley of the shadow of death. You got it, bro.
There's 1 Thessalonians 5 and verse 5. Ye are all the children of light, and the children of the day. We are not of the night, nor of darkness. Therefore let us not sleep, as do others, but let us watch and be sober.
Right, and that's the spirit that we should be in. All right, constantly watching. All right, sobering up in the spirit. All right, because it's according to the scriptures, it's okay to drink wine. All right, and strong drink in moderation. All right, so really, when it's saying be sober, it's speaking about being sober mentally and spiritually. All right, not being beguiled by these different philosophies, not being beguiled by these different ways and philosophies of this world, and not being beguiled by the bread and circus that's being promoted here in America, you know? But being sober, all right, in your watching diligently for the prophecies to play out, you know, watching diligently for the signs the Lord left behind to tell of his second return. All right, and we see the signs, man. We're seeing earthquakes in diverse places. All right, we're seeing evil men wax worse, seducers waxing worse. All right, we're seeing men being lovers of their own selves. All right, sedition among men brewing up, famine, pestilence. All right, all the MOTB, World War III, all these things we're seeing brewing up in the midst, all right, of Babylon the Great, which is telling us what? That the Lord is he's getting ready to make his second return. But if you're not watching for these things, all right, if you're not sober spiritually and mentally, you won't notice these things, man. All right, but America is falling, man. It's crumbling at a rapid rate. You got it?
Verse 7. For they that sleep, sleep in the night, and they that be drunken are drunken in the night. But let us, who are of the day, be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith and love, and for an helmet the hope of of salvation.
Right, and for us who have been made privy to this light, all right, now is the high time to put on our helmet, the helmet of salvation. All right, and going into that helmet of salvation is going into the mindset, all right, that the Lord has made us privy to, the mindset that the Lord has imparted in us through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, the mindset of salvation, the expectation of victory. You know, that's going into that mindset, that helmet of salvation that we must equip. Because coming into these times, man, having the helmet of salvation is going to be of utmost importance. You can't go into any battle or any war thinking that you're going to lose. Because if you go into a battle thinking that you're going to lose, 10 times out of 10, you're going to lose. Because you're going to fear that enemy more than the training that you receive. You're going to doubt the training that you receive. You're going to doubt your trainers. You're going to doubt yourself. And what does the scripture say? He who doubteth shall not be defended, man. Can we get Ecclesiastes 2? And we can start at verse 10. And can we also get Ephesians, the 6th chapter, starting at the 10th verse as well?
Ecclesiastes 2, verse 10. And whatsoever mine eyes desired, I kept not from them. I withheld not my heart from any joy, for my heart rejoiced in
Ecclesiastes, right.
Sirach chapter 2, verse 10. Look at the generations of old and see, did ever any trust in the Lord and was confounded?
Right, and look at the generations, man. All right, the scriptures tell us to prepare for the search of our fathers. Soon to Job 8 and 8. All right, we are to prepare the search of our fathers. Which one of our forefathers ever called upon the Lord or trusted in the Lord and was confounded? You name me one, and I'll shut up. But you can't. You can't name one of our forefathers who ever trusted in the Lord and was confounded, man. Going to show you what? That the Lord he's always going to come through for his men. He's a man of his word, man. And when the Lord shows up, he shows the fuck out for his elect. No, and it's going to be no different from this time to come, man. You got it?
Look at the generations of old and see, did ever any trust in the Lord and was confounded? Or did any abide in his fear and was forsaken? Or whom did he ever despise that called upon him? For the Lord is full of compassion and mercy, long-suffering, and very pitiful, and forgiveth sins, and saveth in time of affliction. Woe be to fearful hearts and faint hands, and the sinner that goeth 2 ways. Woe unto him that is faint-hearted, for he believeth not, therefore shall he not be defended.
Right, and we coming into the times, man, where we're entering into a very heavy spiritual war. The very spiritual a very heavy warfare is being waged against us on all fronts. And with that being said, the scriptures say, woe to him that be of a faint heart. Woe meaning death and destruction, because he shall not be defended, man. All right, going also into that helmet of salvation that we must put on in this time of grace. All right, to prepare ourselves for the spiritual war that's getting ready to be waged on all fronts on us, man. All right, pursuing Ephesians 6th chapter. Let's read that.
It's Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 10. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places.
Right, so right here is telling us that this battle is bigger than us, man. All right, this battle is bigger than what we can see physically. All right, we're fighting against principalities, powers, and the rulers of darkness of this world, man. We're against enemies that's far greater than us, man, to be completely honest with you. So that's why it started off in verse 10. It said, finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord. All right, our might, our strength comes from Yahweh Shem Yahushua, and not of our own selves, man. We can't defeat this enemy by ourselves. It's too big for us, man. This is our Goliath, so to speak. And the only way that we'll be able to defeat this Goliath, all right, is by trusting in the Lord, trusting in the Lord's might to deliver us, man. All right, putting on this whole armor that we may withstand in this evil day. You got it?
Verse 13, wherefore take unto you the whole armor of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day. And having done all to stand, stand therefore having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith you shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the sword of Yahweh Shem Yahushua.
Right, and that helmet, again, going into that, the helmet of salvation, going into that mindset that the Lord has armed us with. All right, and that shield of faith being one of the most important parts of our armor. All right, because the shield, when you go into warfare, It can be used for attack and on the defense. You know, you can use a shield to defend, to parry, and to attack. You know, so that shield of faith is going to be one of the key factors in our armor in these latter days, man. All right, as well as the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of the Heavenly Father. All right, like we read in Hebrews, the 4th chapter and the 12th verse. You know, this is a two-edged sword. You know, cutting asunder the spirit and soul, man. Roughly paraphrasing.
Gird up now thy loins like a man, for I will demand of thee. 38:3.
Yeah.
38:3. It's a lot. Gird up now thy loins like a man, for I will demand of thee, and answer thou me.
Right. And right now is the time to gird up yourselves like men. All right. The Lord has called men, all right, to gird themselves up here in these latter days because he's going to demand an answer of us. All right. The Lord is going to demand an answer on whom we're going to serve. All right. Choose you this day whom you're going to serve. Are you going to serve Esau, Edom? All right. In his power? Or are you going to serve Yahweh by Shem Yahushua, the true power? All right. Choose you this day. And right now, the Lord is telling us right now through the Spirit to gird up ourselves like men. Because what's coming ahead is a battle like no other. And it's going to take a very strong spiritual man, a very strong, faithful man to overcome, man. All right, use it. And this time right now that we've been given is prime time, essential time, you know, to be girding ourselves up. Because these little skirmishes that we go through on our day-to-day basis, these little trials and tribulations that we go through on our day-to-day basis, all build us up to that point and where we'll be able to show ourselves men before Yahweh by Shem Yahushua in the day of calamity, in the day of judgment.
I got a quick one. This is Psalms chapter 27 and 14. Wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thine heart.
Right, and the Lord, hey, that's the essential part, man. All right, that's one thing that we're learning through our experience in this truth is waiting on the Lord to strengthen us, man. You know, to strengthen our hearts, to strengthen our minds, because through Yahweh by Shem Yahushua comes our strength. Through the Lord comes our strength, and no other. And that's a lesson that we've been learning through trials, through tribulations, through our day-to-day skirmishes, man. We've been learning to wait on the Lord to strengthen us, man. To wait on the Lord to reinforce us, man, through the Spirit.
You got one more.
You got it.
This is another one about girding the loins. This is 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 13 and 14.
Go ahead.
Wherefore gird up the loins of your mind, be sober, and hope to the end for the grace that is to be brought unto you at the revelation of Yahushua HaMashiach.
Right. It says gird up the loins of your mind. Why? Because the chiefest battle that we face in this truth of ours is mental and spiritual. It's a constant war in our mind against the flesh. It's a constant war in our spirit against the flesh. So the scriptures say, gird up the loins of your mind, because that's the chiefest battle that we go through. Waiting patiently. You know, sifting out those evil thoughts. You know, sifting out the ways and philosophies of this world. This is a constant battle, man. A constant battle that we face. So girding up the loins of our mind is essential, man. Because where your mind is, your body will follow. Once your mind is right, the rest of your body will naturally get right. But training that and taming that mind is the hardest part of this battle, man. Taming our mind, taming that spirit, man. Taming the flesh, like, you know?
Especially when you exercising your spirit, man. When you exercising the spirit, overpowering the flesh, man. Because if you ain't exercising the spirit, the flesh is going to take over, man.
And that flesh, if I may say this, that flesh it's a powerful demon, man.
Right.
It's a demon that not many people are able to overcome. You know, because the flesh we with the flesh. You know, you know what the flesh, you know what your flesh likes, man. It want to do what it want to do. It want to feel good, because it's temporary. The flesh is temporary, so while it's here, it want to feel good. So it pushes and it tugs you either which way against the spirit, man. It tugs you against the spirit constantly because it wants to feel good. It wants that temporary gratification. But through the spirit, man, we've been made privy to the bigger picture. There's a bigger picture at hand that's not temporary, that's everlasting. And so our mindset and our spirit is geared toward that, and it's naturally warring against the flesh, because the flesh wants to be right here, right now. And the Spirit is telling us, no, wait for the greater, wait for the better.
Instant gratification.
Instant gratification. It's on that instant gratification right here, right now. But the Spirit is telling us, no, wait for that greater. Wait for the Lord to reinforce you, man. Wait for those spiritual bodies, man. You know, wait for the promises to be stored unto you that were made unto our forefathers. And it's a constant war. It's a constant tug. That's why it says, gird up the loins of your mind, man. You got it.
Verse 14, to finish it out. As obedient children, not fashioning yourselves according to the former lust in your ignorance.
Not fashioning yourselves according to the former lust. All right, and that's part of putting off that old man.
Right.
You know, which is it's a hard battle. Okay, it's easier said than done, but it's able to be done. Not fashioning yourself after that old man, because that old man, he want to smoke, he want to drink, he want to party, he want to fulfill the lust of his flesh. You know, he want to go after that what feel good. But we can't fashion ourselves after that old man, because that old man ain't gonna make it into the kingdom. That old man is contrary to Yahweh Shem Yahushai. And we know that all those who are not that the Lord should reign over them, the Lord is gonna bring hither and slay before him. So we can't bring that old man into these times that we're coming into, man. That old man has to die off. That nigga has to die off. And the only way we can kill that nigga is by constantly occupying our mind in the scriptures, man. By girding up the loins of our minds. All right, being diligent and fervent for this word. Using this time of liberty wisely. Not for entertainment, you know, not for bullshit, shits and giggles, but actually learning, going through the experiences that the Lord put forth for us to experience in this truth, so that we might gain wisdom, knowledge, understanding, and faith. You understand?
To land back on the brother, I got 1 Corinthians chapter 16, verse 13. It says, "Watch ye, stand fast in faith." And faith, that's a very manly trait, because when your back is against the wall, and because you know the scriptures go into the definition of faith is basically believing in something that you don't see. And when it comes to that moment where, like I said, your back's against the wall and it seems like all hope is lost, well, the Lord wants to know, he wants to see what you're going to do in that moment. You're going to call on him, or are you going to go about it some other? You're going to go to Esau or the system, or you're going to put your trust in money or whatever, right? But it says, quit you like men, be strong.
Read that from the top again.
1 Corinthians 16 and 13, watch ye, stand fast in faith, quit you like men, be strong.
Right, and then it says stand fast, all right, meaning being firm. Be firm in the faith, stand fast in the faith. It's like the brother said, man, pretty soon our backs are going to be against the wall. You know, and that's the importance of exercising this truth right now while it's still liberty, while we still have grace. Because our backs are constantly being put against the wall. The Lord constantly hits us with tests that put our back against the wall, and it forces us, you know, to deal with whether or not we're going to trust in Yahweh Shem Yahushua, we're going to fizzle out. And then once we overcome that, the Lord gives us a time period, we learn, we study, and then he put our backs against the wall again. Constantly reforging us, constantly forging us into that fine goal, because in the times to come, in the hour of temptation, our backs are going to be against, that's the ultimate back against the wall. Whether or not you're going to go to Egypt, you're going to trust in the shadow of Egypt, or you're going to trust in Yahweh Shem Yahushua. You know? And what's a part of what's going to help us trust in Yahweh Shem Yahushua is the experiences that we're able to gain right now in the time of living. You know, the experiences we're able to gain right now in our day-to-day lives, while things aren't dire. You know, while the situation isn't dire like it's going to be. You know, but through the Spirit, it's a quick switch up, man. You know, according to prophecy, man, there's a lot of things that's going on, you know, that we need to be privy to. All right, concerning the MOTB, there are a lot of the infrastructure is being set in place right now to issue in a new digital currency. All right, because the American dollar is losing its value as we speak. All right, and eventually, all right, it's going to collapse. Okay, the economy is going to collapse, and these elites are going to issue in according to the NWO, a digital form of currency. Okay, and that digital form of currency is going to be implemented by the MOTB, that Revelation 13 and 16, if you can get that.
Revelation 13, 16, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads.
Right, and this is going to be issued into each and every person within society. That's why it says rich and poor, free and bond, rich and poor. All right, from the highest, from the elites unto the common person, unto the homeless. All right, these elites plan on issuing forth their mark, their charagma. All right, which is that, how do you say that? RFID radio frequency device, all right, without giving out too much. You got it.
And that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name.
Right, so it says that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark. All right, because the chief form of commerce is going to come through that MOTB. All right, in order to buy and sell, in order to trade and be a part of society, you're going to have to take this MOTB. And this is a system that we're seeing being set in place as we speak. All right, well, according to prophecy, we don't see an embargo being set in place to govern buying and selling. We don't see white women being set in place in order to buy and sell. We don't see Christianity being set in place in order to buy and sell. But what we do see being set in place is biotechnology. All right, digital system in order to regulate and govern commerce, buying and selling. All right, because buying and selling is a chief part of life, and that's why it's going to get a lot of people. Because in order to eat, you got to buy. In order to receive money, you got to sell a piece of your time. You know, you got to, or in order to receive, you got to sell something. You got to buy something. It's a chief form of life, buying and selling. You got it.
Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 12. For wisdom is a defense, and money is a defense, but the excellency of knowledge. Verse 11. Wisdom is good with an inheritance, and by it there is no profit to them that see the sun. For wisdom is a defense, and money is a defense, but the excellency of knowledge is that wisdom giveth life to them that have it.
Right, and wisdom is going to give life to those who have it in the latter days, man. It says money is a defense, you know, and through the Spirit, man, we understand that money is just put here for us to receive our daily bread, you know, to fulfill the will of the Lord. You know, money isn't here for us to worship, you know, or to gratify in, you know, to the point where we're lost in it. You know, money is merely a defense in order for us to fulfill the will of Yahweh by Shemin Washah. You know, get to camp, do our lessons, go to work, all right, pay our rent, and pay our phone bills so that we're able to do videos, pay our internet bill, so we're able to do our, hey, to hell with it then, fuck it. Money was a defense anyways. We don't glorify money, we don't worship money. You know, we understand that true money is the currency of the Spirit, man. You know,
Right.
Could we get Sirach 29? Start at verse 1.
And money, this ain't real money. All right, when you deal with actual riches, we get that in Genesis 13 and 2. When you deal with actual riches, it's actual substance. What we have now is a fiat system. Rome had a fiat system. All right, eventually, and me and the brother was watching this yesterday. Remember Mike Mahoney? The comparison to the U.S. and Rome? He the one that did all the money. We watched it with Rome yesterday, and it goes into how Rome had a fiat system.
Yeah.
And this system is this, they doing the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Whenever they get to a point where they got to pay for wars, they just start printing money. They was doing the same thing in Rome. They would clip the coins, and then eventually they got to a point where they were stepping on it. So you thought that you had silver, but really you only had a little sliver of silver and a whole bunch of impure metals.
And when they were replacing with copper, wasn't it?
They were stepping on it because the copper was supposed to be like the pennies, the modern day penny.
Yeah, come on.
I think it's the Caesarean or something like that.
Yeah.
And then the denarius was like the modern day dime.
Okay.
Because it was silver. It was silver.
Yeah, right.
So they doing the same thing that they did in the ancient world. And now that this system has reached that debt height, that debt ceiling, where they can't pay it back. They done printed so many dollars, they done put so much in circulation. They need a restart. What's that restart? It started off with Bitcoin to sell everybody on it. This is gonna give us privacy, convenience.
Yeah.
You know, you can check, you can have an anonymous wallet. But when the government step in, ain't gonna, because really to make your own currency is treason. In other nations, you can get put to death for trying to create your own currency. So when the government step in and say, look, now we're about to do a digital thing, they're gonna shut down all that, we're gonna make our own Dogecoin. All right, they're gonna start coming down with heavy penalties because now you got CBDCs. All right, but the real wealth in the kingdom of heaven, real wealth is gonna be actual precious metals. Not no silver fiat currency, not no paper fiat currency. It's gonna be actual pure metals. Because the Lord told us we're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to say, look, I'm gonna give you a gram of copper. But really, it's just a color copper.
Right.
You got all kind of impure metals in it. That's why when you look at old movies, when they used to grab the coin with their teeth, they was checking to see how real it was.
Yeah, right.
Because
right.
at that point in time, they were stepping on the metal
And they
so
were
much,
flexing,
you didn't know what the fuck you was getting. Excuse my French.
Right.
You got it?
And if I may say this, you know, at that time too, it was said, well, according to what true riches are. You know, it's not according to quantity, but it's according to the quality of the resource. You know, if you have a lot of a resource, it doesn't make it valuable. If you have a lot of silver or a lot of copper, it doesn't make it valuable at that point. The reason why gold is so valuable is because it's a scarce resource. You know, but with them printing out, like the brother was going into, with them printing out so much money, you know, the American dollar, it's made it invaluable resource, man. It's made it an invaluable currency because it's a lot of it in circulation, man.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not tied to anything.
Right. This is Genesis 13, I'm gonna read 1. And Abram went out of Egypt, he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him, into the south. And Abram was rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold.
That's real currency. Silver and gold. Remember, there was a point where the dollar was actually backed by gold. That kept a check on it. So you can't just overprint because now it's got to be tied to some kind of gold somewhere.
Right.
And if it ain't, then it ain't. That way the field stayed level. When you start off in Monopoly, imagine starting off in Monopoly with the bank how it is, and then a nigga go get a whole nother board with a whole nother currency and just pour that into the pot too. Good, you get $500.
Yeah.
Now the 500 is $1,000 bill. That's what he doing. That's what he doing. And he used all of these big words to make it seem like he's deeper and he's smarter than everybody else. But really it's just theft by another name. Fractional reserve banking is theft. That means I give you $10, you only obligated to keep $1. So you playing with my money. And then I can come there and say, look, I need all my money right now. And they can tell you no.
Yeah. Because it ain't them, man.
It's not. It's fake money. And now they about to change it from paper fake money to ones and zeros.
Hey,
imagine that, the Powerball, where they just type in $1 billion to a nigga name.
Yeah.
You got $1 billion.
Yeah.
This shit is Grand Theft Auto, man.
Yeah. And this. Good.
And that's why I said in Genesis 13 that true Abraham was rich in cattle, you know, because cattle is a true resource. Slaves are true resources because you can actually accumulate wealth from that. You can sell food, sell milk. You know, you can with slaves you can till land. You know, you can do a lot of things with those type of resources. Those are true resources that you are able to use to generate wealth.
Because with cattle, that means you gotta have land.
Right.
And with land, you could build upon land. You could build houses, homes upon land. You could build more stables.
You got your own trees.
Own tree.
Yeah.
You can do so much with your own land, which makes it a valuable resource, and which is why Esau hoards it.
Right.
This is why we have apartment complexes, and when you go to buy an acre of land, it costs $800,000. Because they understand the true value of land, man. Right. They understand that that's a true resource, and they want to hoard those resources to themselves, man.
Hey, and it's like in Lamentation, I was bringing out earlier. In Lamentation 5, and tell you that our wood is sold to us, man.
Yeah.
We got to pay for our water, and we got to pay for our wood, man. When you got land, you can build whatever you want to build. You don't got to go to Lowe's, okay, or Home Depot. We had wells, alkaline real water. We had land, so that means you can cut your own trees down and trim them how you want to trim them, make you a log cabin or whatever. Right. Whatever type of house. It's devil, man.
And when you deal with families, right? In ancient Israel, and a perfect example is the movie Color Purple.
Of course.
and this, you know, but if you watch a detail, right? Hoppo. What was Danny Glover name?
I forget.
Danny Glover. Yeah, Danny. He was the main one.
Yeah,
She said, anything you do to me.
Yeah.
But he what he did was he arranged the marriage for, well, he didn't even arrange that marriage. But what he did was he built a house on his land for his son.
Right.
And I want to use that as an example of what we did in the ancient world. Yeah. When you had land, you didn't have to go work for nobody.
Right.
You could go to the market and say, look, I got figs. What you got? All right. I'll give you 3 pieces of silver for the figs. All right, cool. We'll hold the silver for a rainy day. If our crops don't yield like they supposed to, then we'll hit the market with the silver. Right. You had options. That's how the Lord set up life. It wasn't supposed to be set up where you got to work for everything. In the ancient world, if you work for somebody else, it was because your family had ran through ruin or something.
Yeah.
Because really your work was being home. All right, we got to till the land. All right, wake up such and such, son. Make sure he get the goats where they need to be. Make sure the cattle is fed. Yo, we celebrating. All right, let's get one of the calves without blemish. We're gonna cut them up. Let's have a feast. Cause we ain't even eat meat like that. That type of order is coming back to the earth, man. Cause that's an order that's in agreement with life. This order is against it.
And going to that point, man, everybody had a trade to themselves. So when you went to the market, you had if your land generated a lot of figs, you went to that market and you say, hey, I got figs. You know, if you had a lot of cattle, you know, you may bring a couple of cattle to the marketplace. Hey, I have a couple of cattle. You got a vineyard.
I got different kind of wine.
I got wines. You know, you'll bring that to the marketplace and you'll trade accordingly. You know, you had a trade to yourself, which made you valuable.
And that's how people was in the ancient world. Contrary to popular belief, we wasn't secluded to just flipping burgers and shit, man.
Right.
This wasn't we had legit carpenters in the ancient world. We had legit blacksmiths.
Man,
we had men that was skilled in trade.
We had the olive yards, vineyards. Man, there was a lot going on.
You had
man.
husbandmen. You had men that actually knew how to which crops, what season to pull them out. We were actually skilled men in the ancient world. Esau purposely took all the skill from us, man. Because now you can't fend. You need him now.
Exactly.
Why? Because you can't fend for yourself no more.
Exactly.
And that's something that was designed by the Heavenly Father that said, look, you got to go to your enemy for the one of all things.
Right now.
Beautiful. You got it.
Deuteronomy 28:48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in
Read that
nakedness.
one more time. Slow about the shot.
Gone. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things.
Right, so the curse that was set upon the Israelites in the book of Deuteronomy, 28th chapter, all right, said that we will go to our enemies, we will serve our enemies for the want of all things. It said food. All right, when we get into that, all right, how do we get our food? How do we accumulate our food that we eat? We have to go to our enemy. We have to go to the Walmart, the BJ's, the Whole Foods, or the Aldi's to get our food instead of having our own cattle and instead of having our own resources to where we're able to glean food. You know, Esau has made it to where we have to go to him to even get food, man. Because you don't have enough land to have cattle. Most Jakes live in apartment complexes, so that ain't gonna fly. You don't have land to build you a chicken coop. You don't have land to till to get you to grow tomatoes or potatoes or fresh olives. You don't have no land to do that. So you got to go to Esau, his marketplace, to get those chemical-filled, genetically modified, processed foods, man.
Now I hit you with something. When we first got out of chattel slavery, we were the only ones that had skills.
Right.
That's why
Right.
Esau was lynching Jake, because Jake had something they didn't.
Right.
They was used to sitting on their ass. Jake could build shit. Jake could plant.
Yeah.
Jake knew how to work iron. This is talking about right after we got out of slavery.
Yeah.
Man.
Right.
We were skilled men.
Right.
Esau purposely reduced us to what we are now. Where you got to go to him for the one of all things. And that happened, a lot of that happened when? Desegregation, what do they call it? Segregation? Integration.
Integration.
Right.
Oh,
Integration.
Hey,
When we were segregated, real quick, our schools, as segregated schools, taught us how to build, taught us how to work with wood, taught us carpentry. So when you had your own schools during segregation, they were teaching you trades.
Right.
They weren't teaching you Alexander was the beginning of history. They were teaching you things that you could actually use in real life. When you got integrated with this population, they destroyed all of that for you. And they stopped teaching you trades. And they started teaching you their history and how to be docile, how to consent.
Hey, segregation.
I was gonna say that's why that Emancipation Proclamation is garbage.
Right.
They transferred the slave. Hey, them devils were killing Jacob too, because now they finna get transferred to the north and build up the north. And Esau ain't want that because Jay had them skills, man. Who you think built the slave houses, the master's house? Who you think built that? That was Jay.
Still standing today, too.
Still today. Who built the White House? Jay. Come on, man.
A lot of them schools too. A lot of them universities. I believe Georgetown was built by slaves. One of them big popular churches in New York, they commissioned slaves to pay for it. All of these things, the scriptures say that we were going to stand in great boldness against those who have made no account of our labors, man. You got it.
And I was just gonna say that segregation back during that time, that was actually good for us. That was the best thing going for us back then. Right. I got one.
Yeah.
Daniel chapter 1, I'll start at verse 3. It says, And the king spake unto Ashpenaz, the master of his eunuchs, that he should bring certain of the
Beautiful. I was right there. You got it. You got it.
And the king spake unto Ashpenaz, the master of his eunuchs, that he should bring certain of the children of Israel, and of the king's seed, and of the princes,
Right.
children in whom was no blemish,
Right.
but well favored and skillful in all wisdom, and cunning in knowledge, and understanding science, and such as had ability in them to stand in the king's palace.
Woo, that means the best of the best.
Yeah.
See, they had to take your confidence from you. They had to take that from you. They had to take, man, y'all dumb. Y'all IQ is this big, you know.
Man and all that stuff.
Y'all need us. Because in the ancient world, we didn't. They needed the top men of our nation. And our men were skilled in carpentry, cunning in knowledge, enough to sit in the king's court. They say men without blemish. That means Jake was, yeah. When you saw Israel, you knew, oh, okay, them brothers different. Hey, there was a difference between the Egyptians and Jake. Make no mistake, Jake talked that Kemet shit in the ancient world. There was a huge difference. We had wars. We had actual wars against Hamite nations. All right? We had actual wars against the Philistines. All right? All of those nations. But Jake is so docile that they believe anybody that share the same skin color to them is a part of their tribe. Everybody had so-called melanin at one point. It's about the nationality. And our nationality just happens to be the children of Israel. All right? Children in whom there was no blemish at the time. But the Lord cast our beauty down to the ground. But it shows you that even in captivity, all right, during that reconstruction area where Jake was able to use their trades and come up, it shows you that our people are resourceful when we're left to our own devices to a certain degree. But we got to use that power to join up with the Lord, man. That skill was supposed to be joined with the Lord. It wasn't supposed to be for us to do our own thing, man. And that's what we went off at. You got it.
I want to read this real quick, right? Now back in that, I used to bring that out a lot. If we read, you still in Daniel 1, get no. I want you to jump down, get verse 17 and read down.
Verse 17, Daniel 1 and 17.
Because if you understand, if you know what happened with Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, right? They had no blemish, right? So what did Nebuchadnezzar do after Daniel was able to tell Nebuchadnezzar what was going on and, right, his visions, the writing on the wall? So read that.
As for these 4 children, the Most High gave them knowledge and skill in all learning and wisdom, and Daniel had understanding in all visions and dreams. Now at the end of the days that the king had said he should bring them in, then the prince of the eunuchs brought them in before Nebuchadnezzar, and the king communed with them, and among them all was found none like Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Therefore stood they before the king.
Right. And he set them over provinces, man. In captivity. Come on, man.
I got one real quick. This is in the Josephus. All right, and I'll just start at page 333. And it's chapter 10. It says, concerning Daniel and what befell him at Babylon. It says, but now Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, took some of the most noble of the Jews that were children, and the kinsmen of Zedekiah their king, such as were remarkable for their beauty of their bodies, and comeliness of their countenance, and delivered them into the hands of tutors, and to the improvement to be made by them.
Hey, and that was a common practice when you go into other nations, overtaking other nations. They would always take the prominent of the nation that they were, the prominent men and women of the nation that they overtook, and train them up and teach them in their ways, and so that they had a foot in both the nation that they overtook, and they had people who were able to tell them of their history. You know, just like they did Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. You know, they took them in because they were skillful. You know, and they set them over provinces. He set Daniel over provinces. Why? Because he was a skillful man. He was a knowledgeable man. All right, not only in works, but in the will of the Lord. He was able to make him privy to prophecy. He was able to foretell his visions to him. You know, break down his visions to him. which made them very valuable. You know, and all the children of Israel, when you go into all the captivities that we've ever been in, we've always been the highest value slaves, so to speak, because we're a very skillful people. And that's what made Rosewood, Florida so valuable. You know, that's why they tried to tear down, they did tear down Rosewood, Florida, you know, Tulsa, Oklahoma, because Jake has skills, man. We were doctors. We had our own doctors, our own hospital. We didn't have to go to Esau.
Go ahead, Slack.
You good?
No, go ahead.
We didn't have to go to Esau's medical system and get his drugs and his prescriptions, because we had our own doctors. We had our own physicians. You know, we had our own school system. It's where we were being taught actual history. We were being taught actual skills. You know, we had our own